Africa is the Lord's Prayer written in clouds and claws. You know you shouldn't be trespassing, but nature keeps leading you into temptation, delivering you into places you should not go. Like the cave diver who went so deep.
The number of people who have dived deeper than 250 meters, that number is smaller than the amount of people that have actually walked on the moon.
He found a death mask and a skeleton staring back at him.
You need to know what you're doing there, because you can get yourself into trouble very quickly.
Something definitely was not right.
What happened was he caught the glint of the body in the light.
It was just too deep to recover from.
He knew it, and all the other divers who come here knew that there was a body down there.
Good evening, I'm Jay Shadler, and welcome to one of the strangest places on Earth, and a story to match it. This is Bushman's Hole on the edge of the Kalahari Desert in South Africa. For an elite but extreme fraternity of explorers, what happened here has already become the stuff of legend and myth. Turn on your flashlights and take a deep breath. We're going underground and underwater tonight, and not everyone is coming back alive. Bushman's Hole is a prehistoric crater, a pockmark on an otherwise endless track of desert scrub. The terrible beauty of the place can't be seen from the air, or even the ground, but trace the walls down and you reach a tiny pool covered in algae. Keep going, through a narrow shaft running for another 150 feet, and finally it all opens into a vast freshwater cavern, tall enough to hold the Eiffel Tower, deep enough, nearly 1,000 feet, to mesmerize the most experienced technical divers in the world.
It becomes very much like it's hypnotic. It just wants you to come. When you get permission to dive in a cave, as it were, the cave, it greets you, and you just want to go and explore.
Don Shirley is one of only a handful of divers who has gone deep at Bushman's Hole. His good friend Dave Shaw is another.
That was a jolly little dive.
And so is Verna Van Skyke, who holds the women's dive record here.
It's the only dive that I've dived at sub 150 where I haven't been stressed about it. I had a brilliant dive. I enjoyed it immensely.
You can have a good dive, and that propels you to go after a deeper level.
That's the lure, that's the danger, because you kind of are able to logic yourself into the fact that the risks probably aren't so real.
But the risks are very real. In the darkness, a diver can become trapped or black out under the immense pressure. What's more, if a diver ascends too quickly, air bubbles can become trapped in his body, producing an excruciating condition known as the bends, which can result in paralysis, even death. And yet, this alien environment holds a magnetic beauty and power.
Imagine floating. So you've got no pull by gravity whatsoever. So you're moving around in this cave. You can float up to a ceiling, you can float round corners. And if you couple that with silence, it is a different world, absolutely different world.
Just the kind of world a young man with a thirst for thrills might love.
Dion, I can actually say, was the father's dream. You know, he had energy, he had good manners. There wasn't enough hours in a day. He lived life. Life didn't live Dion. He lived life.
Theo Dreyer still remembers the day 10 years ago when his son Dion was invited by the South African Cave Diving Association to join them as a support diver at Bushman's Hole. He only had 2 years diving experience, but then it promised to be an experience of a lifetime.
Absolutely, this is the way he saw it. He said, Dad, this is an honor being asked to do this. But because he was careful and conscientious, that's why they wanted him along.
But Dad, what'd Dad think about this?
I was okay with it. To me, I had the confidence that he would have no problem, but Mom, she was up in arms. She didn't want him to go. And then obviously, as we all know, something went wrong, and Mom's fears were realized, yes.
The precise chain of events is unknown. The dive team reported that while ascending through 164 feet, they looked down and saw Dion's cave light fading, sinking back into the abyss. Did they try a rescue?
They tried. They went down 15 or 20 meters, but it was futile. He'd gone down too far.
There's a local legend that a man-eating serpent lives at the bottom of Bushman's Hole. But what likely killed Dion Dreyer was something more prosaic and poisonous. When a cave diver breathes too heavily at extreme depths, as an inexperienced diver like Dion might, carbon dioxide can build up in the lungs, ending in a blackout. That's what most divers believe happened, but the truth disappeared, like Dion's body, into the darkness, into an underwater tomb.
The average person, when they pass along, gets buried and a tombstone is erected. We didn't have that. I mean, there was no body, there was nothing. That's why we put the plaque up, so that we would have somewhere to go. It was a memory of Dion.
October 2004. The memory of Dion Dreyer has faded, but Bushman's Hole is still a bright jewel, luring some of the best cave divers in the world, including Dave Shaw, who today will be trying something never before attempted. His support diver is Don Shirley.
Most of the world records that you look at, they're what I call soap on a rope.
Soap on a rope.
Yeah, you put a long line down and you charge down the line, you take the tag and you turn round and come back up again. So it's just a very quick bounce.
But Dave Shaw is not only going to dive nearly 900 feet, he's also going to attempt a few minutes of unprecedented exploration on the bottom.
Nobody swims at depth. It's just not done. They'll say you are stupid to swim at depth. But this was proper exploration. It was brand new. Nobody had ever done it before.
Dave Shaw descends down the main line, 100 feet, 200 feet, 500 feet. The intense pressure at these depths means that every minute he spends near or on the bottom will require an extra hour of decompression during his journey back to the surface. Otherwise, he risks dying of the bends. He goes deeper. 700 feet. 800 feet. The air mixture in his tanks produces narcosis.
It's the effect of the nitrogen in the air that you breathe, and it basically is equivalent to being drunk. So you lose your ability to mentally process, and you lose your coordination. So the deeper you go, the higher that becomes.
At 876 feet, Shaw reaches the cave floor and does something no cave diver has ever done before. He moves away from his main line, cautiously exploring a previously unseen world.
It's a lunar landscape and you're just looking around to see what's actually there.
Suddenly, something takes shape in the blackness.
What happened was he caught the glint of the body in the light.
It's the body of Dion Dreyer.
He saw the head mostly, and he said that Dion had good teeth. You could see the jaw clearly, and it was just a skeleton. With the mask on, everything was complete, just laying there on the bottom.
Still in his wetsuit.
Still in the wetsuit, everything was just as he'd landed.
Unable to pry the body from the sill, Dave marks its location with a feeder line, and after a 10-hour ascent, emerges at the surface.
So how are you feeling now, Dave?
Yeah, I'm all right. I got started to get cold in the last hour, but up until the last hour, the time really went quite quickly.
Time can do that when you've seen a ghost, especially when you've already seen it in a dream.
He had dreamed about finding the body previously, and the body was in exactly the same position as he dreamt it.
He had a premonition.
Yeah. And the body was exactly as he dreamt it.
Is there any doubt in your mind that the moment he saw Dion's body that he was going to go back?
No doubt whatsoever.
Dave Shaw and Don Shirley will now become partners in a new dream. Call it a resurrection fantasy. Call it dangerous. And it begins when we return.